Okay, let's jump into it here. So we've got start off with DXY because yeah, it really sort of after that big NFP move and that you just got that flow through on Monday and it just kept powering on there. So a little bit quiet this morning. So sort of yeah, I mean obviously not giving back really too much in that, but at least early Asia in that it's sort of seemed to have slowed down. It's broken through. I thought this area here might have held a little bit more of a sort of resistance, but obviously sort of like if you get down into the lower time frames, it sort of thought about it through here, but as you can see, as a daily candle, it just charged all the way through and actually sort of came to clip this other top area, which is the bottom side of a little previous zone that we had on the way up, and of course a little zone that we had on the way down here as well. Ever seen that? Obviously, that sort of at least sort of gave it a short-term target. I mean, if we take out that wick, then on it goes. And you know, you're looking up above. You got the 61 fib just up above it here. Of that whole sort of drop down through sort of what was it, November, December. So it certainly has given back a lot of that move, and it just has charged right through here. This is the thing with this, though. As I said, look, I'm not a Elliott Wave sort of person, and so maybe if anybody does know, they can sort of comment. And but to me, it sort of seems like you're coming into your sort of fifth wave here. So you got one, two, three, four, and this would be our sort of fifth coming up here. Obviously, sort of with that, then you know you get your little ABC corrections, these kind of things, but it could sort of very much lead into, as we're sort of seeing here, it's just going up, consolidated, leveled up, consolidated, leveled up, consolidated. So dollar really on the sort of front foot at the moment. So if it can break past this level here, so I'll put a little alert up here. I think we could be seeing a little bit of continuation. Obviously, you're coming into a couple more sort of little resistance zones around there. So there are other little targets that we could be sort of smacking into, but you know, none of that. The RSI is sort of very much in a position which could support a little bit more of a move to the top side. And you know, these aren't sort of candles that are necessarily coming to a close yet, or coming to a turn or a consolidation as of yet. You generally see them sort of start to sort of get smaller bodies and then sort of peter out and then sort of drop down to it all. So I think at the moment, really, it's just Asia and you know, markets just digesting the last two moves. Okay, so so we jump down to the lower time frame here. Yeah, as you can see, it's sort of yeah, this is back onto the 4 hour here. It's come up and clipped this zone, and it's starting to sort of think about it. It is absolutely screaming hot on the RSI here. So you know, a little bit of a sort of pullback, a little bit of a sort of consolidation around this area is probably due, even if it is to sort of be going a little bit higher. So there's nothing really to take away from it as of yet. If you get into the lower time frames here, you can see there was a really much a marginal like point or two little sort of dip down here, but you know, didn't really do much for it. There was a little bit of news out overnight. I think it was the ISM data. This one. There we go. Yeah, ISM data. Sorry, PMI. ISM PMI data. Here we go. And it was a bit of a mixed thing because we had, yeah, sort of the services came in a little bit lower, but then sort of you've beaten expectations quite strongly, and 53.4 is moving into like anything above 50's expansion. And that's obviously the further away from 50 you have, the greater the expansion. So that saw quite a big sort of little spike on things at the end there. And we saw sort of like, you know, Aussie take out the lows, put in a new low. We saw gold sort of punch down below, I think it got down to 2015 or so overnight. That sort of rebounded a little bit now, just with this sort of cooling off of the DXY move. So you know the gold buyers are certainly there at the moment. So they're just sort of waiting for that opportunity. Big one today is the RBA 230. Pretty much expected to stay on hold. I mean the CPI has been coming down so strongly. You know, I don't think they're going to really sort of step on it anymore. And obviously cuts are off the table, so you know there's not going to be any sort of shock. It seems to be the sort of theme with most central banks at the moment. Like the talk is sort of like obviously when the rate cuts are coming, so rate hikes are off the table. So pretty much everybody's just coming in flat, 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 and it's going to be who cuts first. The big one will be the sort of press conference, which is a new thing for RBA now, doing it sort of an hour after the rate decision. So this will give us a bit more of an insight. So this is a bit more sort of following how the sort of Fed do their rate decisions, and you have the press conference. So it's not so much of like, oh, why did they do this? And then, we're getting the minutes coming out like a week or whatever later. This will actually sort of give Bullock a chance to sort of stand up there and sort of go, this is why we're doing this. This is what we're projecting. This is what we're moving forward. And like with the FOMC, the press conference afterwards, I imagine that's going to be the big mover. Sorry, where we are. Yeah, this is going to be the big mover. 330 is the one to watch for that. All right, so back to the charts. So yeah, DXY just taking a breather. Nothing really sort of to take at the moment. One thing I did sort of think with this as well, because I was sort of looking at this rising support that was coming through, and it obviously danced around this line a little bit and sort of settled to the bottom side of it, which sort of makes you think, okay, yeah, it could be coming down. But I think sort of for these ones to really sort of play out, you need to get there sort of, if it's going to break it, you need it to break and explode the other way. If you get these like break of trends and then it just peters out, I think it pretty much nullifies that move. Drag this across here. It's almost coming up to another sort of reason here. So we got this sort of coming up the top side here. So you got a bit of this sort of, can't really call it a wedge because we've got this side over here, but certainly hitting into this sort of slightly rising resistance here as well. So this again coming in line with this horizontal could be a reason why we're seeing a little bit of a sort of a cooling off at this point. But yeah, certainly looking like it could definitely move a little bit more. It's actually, see, even though it's right up the top up here, it's only given back like a marginal little tiny part here. But obviously it's already sort of come back on, at least it's on the 1 hour, to well into the oversold area. So we'll see how it sort of goes through. It seems to be sort of looking like it might sort of have a little bit more of a push down through Asia. Gold, as I said, it sort of got hammered, came right down into these lower zones last night, which we're using here. Problem with doing too many charts. So yeah, gold, obviously this is obsolete now, as it was unable to hold that top zone there, and it just absolutely crashed through all these levels last night. As I said, this little point here was recovering a little bit, and then it had that ISM data out, and bang, smack back down on the nose again. But it still managed to overcome all of that, and obviously pushing back up along here. So I think we can sort of pretty much call this back into a resistance zone now. So back in the 30s, and then obviously back up to the 40s. There's this sort of sell zone seems to be coming back into effect. So these are the levels that you really want to get above if we're going to be sort of seeing any sort of growth. A close above 40, pretty much the same story as last week. Like gold, surprisingly though, if you think about like how much this move of DXY has happened, yes, gold sort of come down from its highs here, but it hasn't broken its range. If we put this onto a daily here, it's holding this sort of rising support through this zone here, managed to close onto the top side here. But more or less, it's, just kind of sideways the last week and a bit. With DXY breaking clearly out to the top side, you should expect gold to have come under a little bit more pressure and be popping down, possibly even really testing that 2000 area. But, despite that, the gold market seems to think that, there's still some value in holding gold. Well above 2000 here, we're at 2027 at the moment. So, if it can sort of recover a little bit more, if we can see a little bit more cooling on DXY, then there's a chance that we could be sort of seeing gold still sort of stay up around this 2020 to 2050 area. Obviously, you've got these levels you've got to get on top of first, but as it is right now, we're seeing sort of, DXY have a little bit of a breather. Gold's starting to push up a little bit, a little bit. I'm not sort of giving it too much credit here because it is Asia session and Asia only, really. As I said, $5 I give gold for Asia, or $5 range, I should say, during Asia. But yeah, certainly at the moment, you're not seeing the normal sort of like, gold and DXY have a typical sort of inverse relationship. Not directly, obviously, one to one, but it's pretty sort of like standard. Like if you're seeing DXY running up, you're seeing gold moving down in a normal sort of scenario. And then, occasionally you get DXY going up and gold going up, or you might get them both going down. But certainly, sort of when you see a little bit of a disparity of sort of the normal price action with it, in this case, DXY screaming to the top side, but gold not screaming to the bottom side, you sort of think that, okay, there's still people buying it here, despite DXY sort of moving up. So what happens when DXY does cool off a little bit further? Well, they're already buying gold. Then you've got the people that are selling off DXY, moving their money into gold. That'll sort of help sort of keep it elevated. These things aren't guaranteed forever. Of course, if we find that these levels get taken out, well, there it is. The buyers have disappeared. But as it is for right now, they seem to be happy to sort of hold it around this sort of 2000 zone. Could be sort of due to sort of geopolitical stuff that's still sort of in the background. We're coming up on almost a year. I think it was March last year that we had the banking crisis. So if we go way back, where are we? It was around here, I think, was it? Yeah, so this was the banking crisis last year. Here we are, March. And obviously, well, back down at 1800 there. But, not to sort of say that, banking crisis happened sort of in, on a timeline. But, it is something to keep in mind as well. We're coming back to a year, and this is where gold ran. So obviously around this March area, we had some sort of news and stuff going on that sort of pushed it. But, maybe that's a thought as well that sort of like, people are thinking, okay, March is a good sort of time of the year for sort of people to be putting their money into gold. I don't know. We'll have to sort of wait and see. That's more of the broader view. Short term here, we are seeing, as I said, it's sort of pushing up a little bit here. You want to see it get back up above this zone. We can see that, again, these things just repeat. You can see, buyers tried to hold it, as we've seen a number of times. So as soon as they gave way, well, bang, we dropped from 30 down to 15. It's a $15 straight move pretty much down here. We're coming back up to retest this now. You want to get above here and then obviously above 40. So yeah, 30, 31, and then sort of 39, 40. They're the levels for gold buys to beat. If we see it didn't actually make it quite down to this sort of lower support area here, we do have a smaller little level here, which you could say it hit. I mean, we came within a sort of buck or so, but yeah, certainly there's a smaller little zone around here. It didn't quite make it all the way through to the downside here, but yeah, a close under 2011 for downside moves. And I would say a close above 2030 for your upside moves. Till then, you're kind of sort of stuck in this little area here, and there's no sort of confirmation that we're going to keep moving up. We've got the RSI actually sort of looking quite good if if it does decide to move up to the top side, and sort of continue forward. So yeah, as I said, above 2030, get above this wick over here, where we know that these sellers could potentially be sitting, because we've seen them be sellers here previously. We've seen them be buyers. If we sort of get up to this area and we see that these people aren't just trying to sort of negate their sort of positions that went into negative down here, and sort of add to it all, and we keep driving up, well, I think for me, that's the trigger. So above 2030 for gold. Flick across to Aussie. Oh, geez, just such absolute rubbish. Again, if this is to be some sort of lower area here, we do have it sort of coming into this sort of previous sort of support area that we've obviously got marked out through here. It's pushing off the lows, but yeah, we've got RBA coming out today. As I said, it's not expected to do much. So, yeah, realistically, we're just at the mercy of what they do with the US dollar. If they decide to sort of run it up a little bit higher, well, that's it. Aussie's just going to keep on sort of pushing down. But this 64.70 area seems to have held for now. You want to see it back above this kind of little zone here that it was trying to yesterday. I think it was around the 20, wasn't it? Yeah, 65.20. Tested it yesterday and then just got sort of blasted down to the bottom side. As I said, same with the DXY. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and this could be kind of its fifth leg down here. But maybe this was a little fifth leg and a correction area coming through here. But short term, we can see that sort of, as I said, this was the little push down here. I can't remember what news this was off. Some sort of, maybe that was the FOMC news. I think so, yeah. This is FOMC, pushed it down here. which gave us a base, and then it punched right back up. Obviously, NFP smacked on the nose again, but you can see where the buyers were pushing it up after NFP, and they pushed it down directly after as well. So for me, that's that swing point. You want to be getting above that sort of 65.20. So we put this over here, make this 65.10. That was for yesterday, and 65.20. We'll call 22. 65.22. I think if you can get above there and hold, then you could sort of see a little bit of a cruise up to the top side. Obviously, we got a higher time frame sort of support area through here, but it was a very clear shot down here. You can see how fast the market moved through these areas here. So, your next target then would be your sort of your 65-60 area. So certainly a couple of points in that to sort of be picked up in that. If we do get a positive move, it would come off some hawkish sort of talk from Bullock. And obviously sort of DXY sort of continuing to cool a little bit more. Copper still again under pressure, same similar thing, came right back down here. It's given up a lot of this move. This was the area that we sort of thought, this was the point. Okay, yep, we're going to get a sell down. Honestly, didn't think it was going to get hammered this hard. If we sort of take the lows through here, we can see, look, we're sitting somewhere in between the sort of 60 and 70, 61 and 78 fib retracement here. Like, it has been absolutely slammed the last couple of days. So that's a thing. We're seeing this obviously sort of having a little bit of a sort of push up here. This is an area we've obviously sort of seen it be sort of, a bit of a swing point previously. Check this onto the daily. Might sort of show it a bit better. But yeah, we can see previously we've had buyers around this area, and they seem to be coming back in again here, or at least trying to hold it up a little bit here. But I did not see the sell down coming down so hard through here. I definitely sort of thought that this would be the area where we'd see some reaction, but as I said, or I don't know if you saw with the videos, I thought we would have come back here. I thought we needed to hold this. I said this the other day actually, because it was charting beautifully through this top area here. If I go back to this on the 4 hour, it was just structurally so well. And as you can see, I was like, we need to hold this area through here. We didn't, and it's just been a one-way shot coming through there ever since. So, I mean, ever since we broke through there, it's lost nearly 3% in 2-3 sessions. So yeah, certainly taking a pretty heavy hit. But it's starting the Tuesday off a little bit more positive here. Obviously, really sort of flatlining with the oversold. So I expect probably you could see a little bit of a continuation up through here, back up into this little congestion zone over here around sort of 384. Certainly that call of if we could close the week above 395 was way off. Maybe wishful thinking for that. I mean, those levels still remain there as trigger points, but obviously it's got a lot of work to do now. So, copper can be one that can fly around and make you think he's almost dead and then sort of jump back to, but, you got to look at it and sort of like when people are sort of profiting here and taking the money off the table so hard, you've got to sort of think, okay, well, it's most likely not going to just do the reverse back up. It's going to be a very sort of long chug back up over here, probably over the next couple of weeks, if it does come. For the short term, though, don't really like these super tight angles. I don't think they're really great to see. You want something that's a little bit more, along this kind of line. So that would mean that we need to sort of get a push up around here, and then get some. For me, I'd want to sort of see something along this, and then move up through there. I don't like these. I mean, they can be something, just like an early sort of warning line, but I don't find them particularly useful when they're just super tight like this. But we'll see. Moving forward, we got China really coming up into this top zone here. So it's think about it. Like we said, this is the trigger point for another attempt, and obviously it flew through here. A couple of efforts overnight, chilling a little bit now. If it can break down underneath this little zone here, we might see a little bit of a further sort of pullback. This could come in line with any sort of potential sort of Aussie move back up above 65, 65.20. But yeah, at the moment, you want to sort of see, if you're looking for the top side here, you want to see this move continue. You don't want to see it come back down here again, because if it comes back down here again, then you've got a high and a lower high, and again, back into the range. But more or less, pretty much just grindy sort of stuff here at the moment. So, and not really sort of giving a great deal. Top side, if we do break this sort of previous high, as I said, the bigger picture that I'm looking for is this sort of potential head and shoulders playing out. And where are we here? Yeah, potentially sort of this sort of big head and shoulders playing out over here. So we could see a move back up to 727. I think it's sort of really sort of give it a bit of a bit of resistance, because we could see how strong it was for that area. Plus previously it was a very big swing point with this first drive up here, which came back down here. So always said that this was going to be very hard to break, because if you look at this as also the weekly supports, and as you can see, it's really sort of it attempted to come down a couple of times. It's held, and now it's sort of cruising back up here a little bit. But yeah, we'll have to sort of see. Everything's just sort of seeming to have a little bit of a quiet morning on the Asia session. So yeah, we'll see what happens. RBA is the big one that I'm keeping an eye on at the moment. All right, that's about it from me.